Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to go over an apostate confession to the leader of the Scientology religion, Mr. David Miscavige. Um, the apostate, his name's Mike Rinder. I'm not going to go into too much detail about him. He's another one of those guys that tries to hide behind this valence of being a good old boy. But anyway, let's go ahead and begin. This is a letter um, written on 21 August 2003, confessing all there is that he did, Mike Rinder did, in the church to violate, and confessing it to Scientology's leader. Now, let's begin, and I may add some while I read this. May add some things while I read this, and I'll let you know when I add the things. Alrighty. So says from Mike Rinder, it's regarding my honesty. And it says, Dear Sir, thank you for coming by to see me and blank tonight. And I want to apologize for wasting your time and creating further inturbulation, which means upset, right? Upset. I sat down and really did some soul searching with the assistance of the others, as I obviously still had not confronted the depths of my out ethics, which is violations in the church, right? Like violations against the code and your own personal integrity. And suppressive acts. Suppressive acts meaning those acts which endanger others, right? Endangers others' lives, their own personal integrity, their own spiritual path, and many other factors. So many times I've looked at the overts. Again, overts is another term for overt acts, which are wrongdoings I've committed when I have lied to you. And I've always had the idea that it was bad because it had caused upset, but not really confronted it as a basic violation of integrity, and therefore something far more fundamental and degraded. It is a reflection of my cowardice and lack of integrity that I would do this, and it's just black and white wrong. And a low toned meaning a low emotion, right? A low, like you would be in anger or very much like covert, like basically antagonistic, right? So it's a low toned suppressive trait. I've done it many times with you and have always had some justification for it, that I then didn't really confront it for what it is. I finally confronted this for real. There's no justification or Q&A about it. It's wrong. It's low toned, and especially under the circumstances of being in the midst of a war, meaning war, people were attacking us, people were attacking my church, my religion, um, just blatantly because it was helping a bunch of people and it still is, and it's expanding like none other, right? So in the midst of a war, it's suppressive, right? It harmed a bunch of people. I don't mean it's okay at any time. It's not. But the times I have done this with you have been when my neck has been so precious to me that I have been willing to put you and the church in danger because of it. And he lied. Mike would always lie behind David Miscavige's back and the church's back to media outlets and such to save his ass. Right? Excuse my French, but I'm just being really blunt with you. He would save himself for something he did and blame the church. Right? So he committed a wrongdoing, not only in the church, but also out in the public. Right? Himself, not from the church. The church didn't order him whatsoever, but he would blame the church and the church's terminals and the church's staff and the church's, whatever. He just blamed the church and put David Miscavige and the church in danger because of his own wrongdoings. He would never take responsibility. I looked at a lot of things that finally opened this door because I felt I was still, to some degree, trying to hold on to some rightness, which is why I didn't answer me when you asked who was the worst last night, and the calm lag tonight, which is the delay in response. When somebody asks you a question, if you delay in answering it, that's called a communication lag. It's a time in between your communication being delivered to the other person after receiving it. Right? So I went back to the time and a management entity. I'm not going to mention the name because it would be a long conversation. It was a management entity in Clearwater and the successful actions from that time. I've always hung on to the idea that there were things right about that time, and the operating basis, was to always be a good subordinate, and always say things are under control when unless it was reporting on someone else being a screw up. But never was I a screw up or responsible for anything wrong other than handling someone else. This is the thing I confronted. That whole scene was an out ethics sham. I see now this false this false assertion is just that, a false assertion that I've held in place to prove I'm right. So already he's confessed everything. Already he said that, everything that he's ever done, really, because he was only at that management entity, that was where he was posted. He would always try to prove he's right, not wrong, right? So then, here's the next sentence. This then led me to really confront my integrity with respect to telling the truth and how I hate myself about this, no matter how I justify it. So look at that for a second. It says, this then led me to really confront my integrity with respect to telling the truth and how I hate myself about this, no matter how I justify it. So he's confessing that he's been lying to the leader of the church, which is his boss, right? Anybody's boss who works for the church, right? So, he's been lying to his boss. He's been committing violations. He's lied to many public entities, tried to pin it on the church because he wanted to save himself, right, for his own wrongdoings. And then on top of that, he also said that he's, with respect to telling the truth. So basically, he's now seeing it in this letter. He saw it for himself. He's apparently confronted his integrity with respect to telling the truth, but in how he hates himself about this, no matter how he justifies it. Interesting. Let's go on to the next paragraph. I know I have taken a long time to have this realization, and you have pointed it out to me many times, and I've never been willing to look at this. For the black and white issue, it is, because it's a point of my own integrity first, and violating my own integrity has caused desirable results. Well, terrible results. Right? So, in violating my own integrity has caused terrible results. Let's go on to the next. I do appreciate your insistence that I actually confront this. It actually was a major realization and a relief to see something that is so obvious to you and others. With all the justifications I have had in place, telling the truth under certain circumstances was in my universe no different than telling a lie or withholding. But that is no longer the case, as I finally recovered my integrity on this and will never operate in this suppressive fashion again. This is okay. Much love, Mike. Okay. Wow. That letter is insane. That he basically just confessed all right there. You can find the whole entire thing actually in the back of Escaping Leah and the back of The Hidden Agenda, my books. You can find them there. His letters in there. It's insane how he just confessed all of that, and then what is he doing now? He hasn't changed. He lied again in that letter. I don't even know what's true about this guy now, right? But I've done a lot of research on him and his cohorts, and let me just say, there's a lot more criminal activity than you will ever know, and a lot of stuff that they're in the middle of trying to project onto the church. And I've released it all in books. You can find them all in my series, and I guarantee you'll be mind blown. You'll definitely see it and go, wow, I never saw that. Never knew about that, because they won't tell you. They won't tell you any of it. Anyway, thanks so much, guys, for tuning on in. My name is Ryan Prescott. You can get my books at exposingcrimes.com. If you order the books right now, I'll pay for the book. You just pay for the shipping of The Truth About Apostates. That's my first book in the series, and then it goes Escaping Leah, The Hidden Agenda, and then now my most recent book, Going Clearly Wrong. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. Have a nice one.